Hello, I'm Courtney Steerwalt, Indiana 4-H Animal Science Extension Specialist. Today I'm joined by Kara Harbison, the Indiana 4-H Online Extension Specialist. We will be taking some time to share with you the animal identification requirements for 4-H dairy cattle. One side note that we're going to repeat multiple times throughout this presentation is that if you are planning to exhibit 4-H dairy cattle at the Indiana State Fair, you must submit DNA hair samples for each animal you plan or potentially plan to show at that event. Should you have any tag issues where a tag falls out or any information challenges, please make sure you contact your local Purdue Extension educator, 4-H educator, as soon as possible to let them know and make them aware of any tag issues you might experience. Before we get started, I would like to remind you of the requirements for animal identification in the 4-H online system. Dairy cattle should have an 840 RFID tag and an animal's registered name and registration number or DAM's registration number, as well as a DNA hair sample submitted to your local extension office by May 15th. Information on how to obtain your DNA hair sample for your dairy animal can be found on the Indiana 4-H projects page. Without further ado, Kara's going to take us through how to properly identify a dairy animal in 4-H Online.
Okay, you will visit your v2.4honline.com. Use the family credentials you use to log in to enroll your youth. We'll click sign in. Animal identification is done under each member. So we will locate the first member we'd like to put in our dairy cattle for. We clicked view next to their name. We'll navigate to the left-hand side here and find the animals tab. Any animals you have already identified will appear down here, but when we go to add a new animal, we'll go over here to this blue button. Add a new animal. Our animal type is dairy cattle females, and the required name of your dairy cattle female. On the questions tab, please be sure to read through all of the instructions before entering in your ID information. Again, we have notes on what is going to be required, especially for the Indiana State Fair, but also be sure to contact your local extension office to know other identification requirements and dates. Once you've read through the paragraphs, click on Show Questions. We'll scroll back up here to the top to start with our animal identification. We already started with the animal name. We'll choose the animal's birth date. The breed. We can mark if this female is born and raised. DNA collected. Again, if you're going to exhibit at the Indiana State Fair, you must collect DNA and turn that envelope into your county extension office. So once you have done that, please indicate that you have done that here. Or if you do not do that, obviously click the no. Your premise ID. All exhibitors exhibiting livestock in Indiana have to have a premise ID. If you do not have a premise ID or you do not remember what your premise ID is, please contact the Board of Animal Health. Please do not wait until May 15th to do so because this does take some time to get processed. So we will enter in that here. If your dairy female is owned or leased, please indicate that here. Owned, obviously put in the owner's name. If leased, same thing. Registration number, please indicate that here. RFID tag, again, all Dairy cattle must have an 840 RFID tag. Please make sure you enter in the full 15-digit 840 tag here. And then tattoo.
And as a reminder, please make sure that you are double checking and triple checking your animal identification information on this screen, but also, even if it doesn't say required, if you know that information, put it in there. It never hurts to be over prepared, if you will. So just fill in any information that you know about your animal, but you must have the required fields completed and completed properly in order to be eligible to show at the Indiana State Fair 4-H Dairy Show.
So we've got all of our fields filled in, so we'll click next. You'll see that there's a spot for animal lease. So since dairy cattle can be leased, you can place a lease form here if you have a PDF version of that lease. If not, please make sure that you still turn that paper copy into your Purdue Extension office. Click next. You get one last chance to confirm that everything is correct. If you need to correct anything, you can go back and do that at this time. Otherwise, you are ready to submit. Upon submission of the animal, you will get an email notification letting you know that that animal is now in active status. You can go back at any time and edit that information on this animal before the May 15th deadline. We'll navigate back to the Animals tab. We can add another animal. We can go to the members list and add animals for other members in our family. Do note that while we put this dairy cattle female under Creighton's account, this animal does become co-enrolled in the family. So if another family member does choose to exhibit this cow, they can do so without having that animal exactly under that person's profile.
As a reminder, animals must be identified in the 4-H family profile, and that does not include cousins in this instance. So please make sure you are aware of that.
So again, if you're complete, you can log out at this point. Otherwise, you can go in, add more animals, add animals to other family members. Other than that, we wish you all the best with your livestock projects.
Please make sure you're in contact with your local county, as well as checking to make sure you're up to date on what you need to do in order to be successful in your 4-H animal projects.